Greetings, Eric Brown, MOBO-Media, MOBO-Media. Hey, I thought I'd talk about the upcoming military parade planned for this Saturday, June 14th. This also happens to be President Trump's birthday, the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, and it is Flag Day. So a big day on Saturday. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of protests planned called No King's Day protests around the nation. And there's going to be a lot of protests this weekend. And, the president has come out and said that the protesters better be, I don't know. He's saying they better be careful. He's going to, use brute force against them. I think these are dangerous times. Man, these are dangerous times. These are dangerous times. Saturday is not a day I'm looking forward to. As a veteran, I'm going to give my quick perspective on the military parade that President Trump has decided to put on. First and foremost, when I look at the pictures on the TV, the first thing I think about is those U.S. troops, those military folks who have families. And y'all all need to realize that those folks that you see on TV moving all this military hardware, they have families, they have kids, they have extended families. They're not just some entity in uniform. So these folks have been separated from their families to put on some huge display in D.C. And I'm kind of torn between, whether I even agree with it or not. I think for me, what's important is to, highlight the message, the potential messaging that's coming out of this. Right now we still have a lot of conflict around the world. We have Ukraine and Russia still going at it. We have people don't realize there's some things going on in Africa right now. There's a lot of, war and fighting, but also we have Gaza and Israel there. And so for me personally, I think that rather than put on a display of all of our might and military hardware, I think it's, I think it's sending the wrong message. It's sending the wrong message to the world. The world already knows we're the military, big hammer in the room. They already know that. You don't need to put the hardware on display for folks to realize this. Again, my thoughts are always on those troops who are involved with this. Now, understand there's a certain segment of those troops that really are going to be proud of what's taking place. And I totally understand. Some are looking forward to it. Some are furious about it. I can tell you right now, military leaders, for the most part, are they're not in agreeing with it. They do not want this. They have other things to be worried about, to include China, the things taking place in North Korea, the relationships China's starting to have around the world with other folks, the Russia and how their aggressive tactics have caused, untold amounts of suffering. So I think our priorities got to be in lockstep with really what's going on around the world. And right now, put on a military display, I think it's bad timing. A lot of countries do that. Russia puts on, I think, a military display, I think, every year. North Korea puts on a huge military display every year. China puts on a military display. A lot of countries do it. And to each his own. But I don't think we need to do that in America. I really don't think we need to do that. I think, if anything, rather than a parade, I think there needs to be more focus on taking care of our military members. The money used to move all this equipment and have all these folks working all this time to put on display, give this money back to the troops. Give it back to those families who are living payday to payday. And oh, by the way, those in uniform are not rich. Understand that. A lot of these folks living payday to payday, man. And so they have enough on their hands regarding deployments, at a moment's notice where they have to leave and be separated from families. And here we go again. We're doing it in the interest of showing the world who we are. The world already knows who we are. They know who we are. All the weapon systems you see sometimes around the world, in some countries, actually, the technology came from us. So you look at our own stuff sometimes with these displays of military hardware. I just don't think it's necessary. I do believe in celebrating the Army's 250th birthday. I got a lot of Army counterparts. I am Air Force, but I have worked with the Army extensively. A lot of great Army folks. Nothing against them or their ability to celebrate the 250th anniversary. But I think it coincides with, with this whole parade they're putting on, then the controversy behind the parade. And, oh, by the way, there's going to be a lot of protests. There will be a lot of protests. I think this weekend you're going to see, man, I just ask everybody to be careful and be safe out there, because this weekend is not going to be a good day for America. Yes, I get it, where they're trying to show off and have a military parade and instill pride in our military members. But instill pride in our military members by saying thank you for your service. Do it that way. These folks are, these folks that you're seeing putting on this stuff, man, they're wore out, man. They're wore out, they're thin. Stuff is popping up all over the globe with all this instability. And so they need to be focused, man, and not here just trying to put on some, display to try to show the world and look at us and flexing. I don't know what President Trump's, what his reason is for holding the parade. They've said it's for the 250th Army anniversary. But I can tell you right now, with things you're seeing, a lot of folks are saying, nah, that's not the real reason. The Army has always been celebrated. All our military services were celebrated, for the military's existence. So it's nothing new to us. What's new is to actually pull all this hardware halfway around the country to put on display in Washington, D.C., one of the most densely populated areas in the U.S., man. It's densely populated with the politics and all the federal employees and all the federal happenings going up in D.C. Now, I spent a lot of time in D.C., and I can tell you right now, the folks in D.C. do not want this. They don't want a military hardware down these streets. This hardware is going to tear up streets. It's going to tear up streets. These tanks, M1, Abrams, all this heavy artillery, this stuff is going to tear up some roads. And they're trying to mitigate that by, the Army guys are really good, and ladies are good about, with roads and things like that. They have these metal plates they're going to put on the roads, particularly when the big military tanks, when they turn. See, when they turn, there's a lot of weight on the concrete. So when they turn, they're just tearing up that concrete is what they're doing. So they put a metal plate between the military hardware and the road. So when they turn, there's less stress on the road. But trust me, those roads are going to be tore up. And we talk about the cost of shipping the military there and getting the military hardware. There's going to be a cost to the local infrastructure as far as repairs and things like that, because it's going to tear up some things. Never mind. Also, keep in mind. Also, they're talking of shutting down airports and things like that up in the DC area. So there's going to be a lot of personal disruptions, a lot of business disruptions, a lot of governmental disruptions, just a lot of disruptions on Saturday. I asked the folks out there protesting, do it in a peaceful way. I don't condone violence. I don't condone tearing up streets and tearing up what we have. There are a lot of instigators out there. There are a lot of elements out there that just, they want to see bad things happen from these protests. And so they are agitating things like that. And so there are a lot of peaceful protesters out there, and I salute those peaceful protesters out there. But continue to be peaceful. Continue to be peaceful. Let's not go tear up the city and tear up our communities. Because at the end of the day, we have to go back and live in those communities. We have to go back and live in those cities. But January 14th, this Saturday, is going to be a day for the record book. I'm going to tell you right now, because I think I saw a news report this morning that said something like 18,000 protests were planned. 18,000 protests are planned this Saturday. And they call them the No King's Day protests. And they're protesting against President Trump's, they're saying that he's pulling all his hardware out here to show people that he is the ultimate power. He is the king. And so I just pray for our military troops in uniform. I pray for the protesters out there. I pray for everybody. I pray for those who are being deported. I understand there's a lot of fear with the ICE raids, but they're following the law. They're following the law. You came over illegally, and so they have a right to do what they want to do with you. And so I just ask they do it in a more humane way, because I hate to see families torn apart. And some will disagree with that. I don't give a shit. But at the end of the day, we promote peace around the world. So if we promote peace around the world, then why are we putting on this huge military display of hardware? Hey, with that's my perspective on it, man. So, hey, y'all buck your seatbelts, because June 14th, this Saturday, is going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy. I'd encourage folks to stay home. If you're not out protesting, just stay home and just watch it from your TVs or whatever. But for those folks not familiar with military life, it'll be really eye-opening to see all the military hardware out there. It's something that we veterans and active duty folks are so used to. Hell, we get sick of looking at it because it means work for us sometimes. But at the same time, those are the tools we use to go and defend the nation and defend others in harm's way. And so with that, this is Eric Brown, MOBO-Media. Y'all take care. June 14th. Hey, man, it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.